Hello and welcome back to the Zarate Creations Podcast, where stories, creativity, and the plus mindset come together to inspire growth, connection, and purpose. I'm your host, AlexGZarate, author, photographer, creative entrepreneur, and lifelong student of this remarkable world we're lucky to live in. Today's episode explores a topic that's not just meaningful for creatives, but for everyone. Why stories matter more than ever. Whether you're a veteran learning to share experiences beyond the uniform, a creative shaping new worlds, one page, one creation, or one photo at a time, an entrepreneur refining your brand identity, or someone simply trying to make sense of life's chaos, stories are at the heart of it all. We live in a fast-moving world. Information bombards us from every direction. Social media, 24-hour news cycles, endless scrolling, endless noise. But stories help us make sense of it all. Stories have been our oldest form of communication. Long before we invented the wheel, the written word, or smartphones, we sat around fires, sharing experiences so we could understand our world and each other. Stories are how we make sense of life. Facts inform, but stories transform. Stories bridge generations. They cross cultures. They give meaning to numbers and shapes to emotions. And right now, in an age of confusion, division, and distraction, stories matter more than ever. Let me share a moment from my life that unlocked this truth for me. A few years ago, I was invited to speak at a local event. I wanted to prepare myself by having facts, statistics, and a structured timeline. I thought information would be the best way to share my process and explain my business. As I reviewed my notes, I realized nothing in my presentation was about me or my journey. So I stopped concentrating on data and decided to share a story. Not a chart, not a quote, just a story. About my time in the military, about being a quiet young man trying to find my path in life, and about how writing became my passion. As I spoke at the event, questions emerged, discussions arose, and the presentation resulted in several connections, both personal and professional. It wasn't data that connected us. It was my humanity. It was my story. Stories don't just deliver information. They open doors. They invite others to step forward with their own truth. When we share our stories, we create space for connection. We break down walls and do more than exchange words. We build bridges that unite us. One of the most beautiful things about stories is that they remove barriers. Veterans often say, people don't understand what we've been through. Creatives say, people don't understand why I make what I make. Entrepreneurs say, people don't understand why my mission matters. And many of the rest of us say, people don't understand what I'm carrying. But stories change that. Because stories invite empathy. Stories reveal values. Stories create common ground. Stories show our struggles and our triumphs. And when you think about it, empathy is the foundation for connection, mental health, leadership, and healing, all of which the world desperately needs. Stories make us feel seen. And when we feel seen, we heal, we grow, and most importantly, we connect. Think about how we teach children. We don't begin with textbooks, we begin with stories. Think about how leaders inspire, not with spreadsheets, but with stories of why their mission matters. Think about how we remember life's events. Not with dates or data, but how our most impactful moments made us feel. Let's talk about entrepreneurship for a second. Brands that thrive don't just sell products, they tell stories. Stories about who they are, why they exist, who they serve, what problems they solve, how they make life better. Veterans transitioning into the civilian world quickly discover that their story is what translates their experience into value. Creatives thrive when they trust their voice and share their story, not just their creations. Every human being carries a story that can elevate others, and most don't even realize it. Here's the thing. Even with all this technology and connection, many people feel isolated. Because what we see online isn't really connection. It's mostly comparison. We compare our journey to someone's highlight reel, our struggles to someone's curated perfection, our behind the scenes to someone's final product. But stories break comparison. They humanize experience. When we hear that someone else struggled, failed, and fought through their fear, we don't feel smaller. We feel encouraged, because we realize we're not the only one. Stories help us heal when we struggle in life. They remind us that we're not alone. Now, let's get practical. You don't need to be a novelist to tell powerful stories. You just need 3 simple ingredients. 1, a moment, something that happened, big or small. 2, a meaning, what it taught you, changed, or revealed. And 3, a message, what others can take from it. Here's an example using something simple. Moment, I went on a morning walk and watched a hawk glide across the sky. Meaning, I realized that sometimes we chase progress when we could glide and trust the current. Message, slow down. Let yourself glide instead of always grinding. That's it. A simple story. And suddenly it becomes an insight that someone else needed to hear today. As technology advances, AI, automation, algorithms, storytelling is becoming even more important because machines can analyze data, but they can't replace the human experience. Machines can produce information, but they can't replace meaning. And meaning is where we live. If we lose our stories, we lose our humanity. When we share our stories, we embrace our humanity. So here's what I'd love for you to take from this episode. Your story matters. Your memories matter. Your voice matters. And your experiences matter. Someone out there needs what only you can share. Write it, speak it, paint it, film it, whisper it, pass it down. But whatever you do, don't let it fade. Let your story become a spark for others, an echo that reminds them that they're not alone. With every word, brushstroke, or gesture, you light a path for someone searching for hope, connection, and meaning. Thank you for spending time with me today. If this episode resonated, please share it. The simple act of sharing can inspire, offer comfort, support, or a renewed sense of encouragement to someone who's searching for connection. Until next time, keep speaking your truth, keep creating with purpose, and keep sharing your story with the world. Onwards.